Sunday, Lane and I are going to be at Planet Tunnel.
So you might have 3 minutes.
3 minutes.
T minus.
Speed run.
Yeah.
There you go.
So if you know her picture, so it's hard.
I don't think I know her then.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. I just like ran here for a riot and I just needed something.
Uh-oh.
Nice.
Oh, that's so
They
cool.
teach you too. Don't leave without a book I brought you.
Okay, thank you, lifesaver. I went for here this summer and I was just like, fill it down, fill it back up.
I love it. I need to get something like that.
Oh no.
That'll wait till later.
Yes.
And so I need something like that.
Yes, and it's just, it is nice because we have something.
It's a bummer. Megan says a quarter of it. Right? Some face mask directly ahead of you. That's Daniel. He is directly ahead.
Oh, okay.
This one is one of my college buddies who's my current DM.
Oh, nice.
He's also
You
one
gonna
of
do a shot
my
down the
players,
table?
Very long running.
We're doing a shot down the table.
Emily. Marsha.
That's not blocking anyone, was it?
We'll find out.
I got one picture.
You're gonna see.
For sure. We'll see.
What? Like that. I'm. I can talk. Right, I've got it not that.
Nice, I haven't seen more of this.
Yeah. The one of the years I was here, there was a decent amount of like Hades.
You done this?
Nice.
Yeah, this is
Like,
actually the third time I've done
Five.
it.
This
was it's all planned. It's pretty chill. You know,
Kind of know what it is. You can say, talk about your history, what you do probably almost every day. With BookTok and
Yeah, right.
how that affects your
I need to
writing.
be better at that.
But no, it's a great panel. I'm so bad at remembering to do footage and stuff.
Cool.
This is your first like panel.
Yeah.
I need panel.
Yeah.
Oh,
Throw you to the wolves, right?
I've done
Right in
one
there.
book signing
Like, ask
and
me
this.
like,
That's cool though.
So
pictures. I will try to tag everybody else when I post them.
try not to embarrass.
Must have documents.
I've only done one
We do author stuff.
bookstore book signing.
Yeah.
Not a lot of that goes on in Charleston.
Yeah. See, I got lucky. A buddy of mine from college opened his own bookstore.
Oh, that's awesome.
So he
The
invited
local
me
ones
out.
are
I was
the
like,
best
okay.
way to go,
It's the only
but
one I've done.
We'll do it. We'll
Like,
have to do it again when we have.
apparently Barnes and Noble, big chain, they're the they like they don't really do that with authors. Like local authors anymore. We don't
Yeah,
do that.
absolutely.
Right. Yeah, my Barnes and Noble site's good, but I would make like 30 cents per book.
You guys take pictures. Skybridge.
That's a lot of work.
Yeah.
You know.
Time. Just like
They're like,
I might get that.
Yeah.
But there was
Yeah.
one
I'd like to go to like I live in Charleston.
Right.
Town bookstore. I'd like to try that.
Yeah.
Reach out. I think what works best in that area is
Community
like
atmosphere that is driving.
local like festivals. and
Right.
things. Like, I have a good friend. He makes like candles, bath bombs, that kind of like soaps and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And he's always kind of giving me the deal
Hello?
on like, hey, might want to check this one out.
Oh, yeah.
Hello, hello. Can everybody hear me?
Yeah, show up to the farmer's market.
Yay! Okay, great. I am your moderator this evening or afternoon, whatever time, and this is my first time moderating, so bear with me. First thing first, I want to make sure I cover some of the basics before I forget, including the fact that this track's sponsor this year is Zakat, and they are a disaster relief. And so if you are interested, check out zakat.org, ZAKAT.org, and help them because they are amazing and they sponsored, again, the digital media track for this year. We also have the Dragon Con charity for 2024, and that is the Arthritis Foundation. There is a QR code right up front if you want to donate. And every year, Dragon Con tries to match up to $125,000. And last year, they raised $272,000 for the 2023 charity. So amazing stuff. And if you do want to donate, again, there's a QR code right out in front. Now, quickly, for everybody who is here, I kind of want to know the breakdown of why you are coming to listen to the Book Talk panel. Raise your hands if you are a reader. Hopefully we all are. Okay, we're warming up. We're warming up here. How many of you are writers and or authors? Ooh, a lot of us out here. I love it. Any of you that are trying to be or are currently a book influencer? Ooh, I love it. Keeping an eye on you right now. Anybody who is an alpha, beta, or an ARC reader for an author? And if you don't know what that is, I'll be happy to tell you that after the panel. Great. And anybody else who's just stumbling in here just because? I love it. Okay, thank you so much. I just kind of get an idea and make sure I cater to your interest. So basically, what I wanted to say is the breakdown of what I'm attempting to do in this brief bit of time is give you a little bit of the Book Talk basics after we introduce our wonderful selves, and then talk a little bit on the author-writer side, move over to the reader-viewer side, have a few wrap-up questions for this wonderful panel, give them a flash round if I have time, and then we'll open up for questions right at the end. So I'm going to try to keep this quick as possible for everybody who is on the panel. If you don't want to answer any particular question, don't feel obligated. You don't have to answer everyone. And just remember, be aware of time. So if you're a rambler like I am sorry. Just be conscientious of that. Okay. So for everybody, I'm Catherine E.Y. Bell. I am an epic fantasy author, and I write series that range from young adult, new adult, adult literature, from the noble, bright, clean fantasy, questing and fun stuff, all the way down to the grittier side of dark fantasy, dabbling with grimdark. I have been on BookTok for close to 3.5, 4 years. Time flies. And my handle is Catherine E.Y. Bell. You can see all our TikTok handles right in front of us. So if you want to follow any of us, please do. Now I'm going to open it up for everybody to introduce yourselves and do the same. Your author name, your handle, your genre, and how long have you been on BookTok?
Start here and go down.
Sure. Go,
Okay.
Jason.
I'm Jason Duro, and I'm Jason Duro author on TikTok and pretty much everywhere else. I'm a fantasy author. I write epic fantasy. Currently, I'm writing historical fantasy, but mostly epic fantasy. And I'm also a voiceover artist, and I've been on TikTok since January of 2022, I believe it was. So keep it moving.
I'm Michael Melwassel. Michael Melwassel on all platforms, same handle everywhere. I am an epic fantasy author. I like to say I'm an epic rural fantasy author because it's a little bit different from urban fantasy. I wrote Paragon Exordium, and I have been on BookTok for just about a year and like 3 weeks.
Awesome. I am Drew Bailey. I am a dark fantasy writer. My handle is here at Drew Bailey Author. Primarily write dark fantasy. I also do horror and grimdark. That's it.
I am Marshall J. Moore. You can find me at TikTok and Instagram under Marshall J. Moore Author. I have been on TikTok since 2022, and I write all subgenres of fantasy, but my published works are epic fantasy, wearing an urban fantasy trenchcoat trilogy, and also a cozy pirate series.
And I'm Emily Krempoltz. I'm an author, editor, book coach, and ghostwriter. I write fantasy and romance, and I've worked with authors under pretty much every genre under the sun. You can find me at Writers of Rohan on TikTok, and yeah.
Fantastic. So again, I will start off with saying, I think, again, I am biased, that BookTok is a fantastic community, and it's a great resource for people to find books, learn about writing advice, and again, build a reading community. So what I want to know from my panelists is, why did you join BookTok, and how do you currently use it? In other words, are you there to educate others, learn, connect, or sell, or all the above? Who wants to go first?
Yeah, man. I can start.
Go for it.
Okay,
Alright.
we'll just keep
Yep.
going.
I started on BookTok because I didn't know anything at all about it, and I heard that it was a good place to promote books, that it was a fast track, especially for indie authors, to find audiences. And so I started there. As it turns out, I enjoy more making videos about the craft of writing, about the business of self-publishing, and encouraging authors and doing that sort of thing more than I enjoy promoting my own books. So I still do the book promotion there, but my content has definitely shifted more towards being an advocate for self-publishing in particular, but also writing fantasy and other genres. And most of my content is around that, giving tips, answering questions, and those sorts of things.
Yeah, I joined because my wife said there's a lot of people who like to read on BookTok, and I'm not getting any traction on Facebook by any stretch of the imagination. So that's why I joined. I primarily post about my book and my book world and talk about world building and stuff. And I like to help support and review other authors, and as much as I can to spread that support around.
I joined and just kind of was a person on the app for a good like 9-10 months before I even really knew that, oh, there's different avenues that you can kind of go down. So it took me a while to even understand the app. I wasn't posting, I was just kind of on there. And eventually I started getting more book content because that's what I was liking, and kind of like convincing the algorithm, hey, this is the stuff I want to see. And after that kind of started to take place, that's when I was like, okay, I'm seeing enough people talking about stuff I like and care about, and I started doing the same.
Yeah. I joined TikTok about 3 or 4 months before my first book, The Pale City, came out, because my wife was like, hey, there's a lot of readers on there, and you should probably have some ready to go once you have a book to announce. I really like forming community. I've met pretty much everybody up here through the app and made genuine friendships and relationships via that. We're Asian siblings now.
We are.
Like, so that's my favorite thing, is connecting with other people in the writer and reader space.
And yeah, I mean, kind of along the same lines here, I really joined BookTok because of the community. I joined around the time that Twitter sort of became a dumpster fire. And I really love just kind of that ability to connect with other people in the book community, in the publishing community. And then in, you know, my day job, I'm a book coach. I talk about books, I talk about writing all day long. And it's really nice to be able to have people that you can talk to whose eyes don't glaze over when you do that, and who want to be able to talk about it with you.
It's an incredibly open and welcoming experience. My co-author and I
Yes.
were really worried at first that it would be kind of a closed door kind of experience because of our experience querying and whatnot. But the community is so open and friendly and stuff. And one piece of advice I would just throw out there real quick, so I don't delay us too long, but if you are working on a book or you are writing, I would get on the platform before you're done. Just start generating hype and appeal for your book before you're even done, because you can get a lot of feedback and learn a lot of things before you finish. My mistake, I think my biggest mistake, was I didn't get on until 3 months after my book was released, and I think I missed out on a lot of hype by doing that.
Can
I
confirm
love
for
that.
mine.
And yes, I'll kind of agree with a bunch of them. And my introduction to BookTok was because my husband told me, it was like, why are you not on it yet? Everybody in the book community is on it. You should be on it. And I was very reluctant. And I feel like I started out a little late in the game. But honestly, people are joining every day and doing fantastic, whatever their end game is. Again, selling, connecting, finding other readers who share their passion. It's a great thing. Now, going into the generals of BookTok, and I apologize, I can't help but apologize. I am a rambler, and I also am a wordy person. So I have these multifaceted questions. You are welcome, panelists, to answer all the parts, or one part, or none of them. So here's one of these multifaceted questions. What is the best way to build community on BookTok, as in what has worked for you? For instance, what videos have been your most successful on your journey? Do you think they are something you can replicate, or is it all just luck, in your opinion?
Somebody else want to start?
I can start us off a little goofy. My most successful videos are a friend of mine started sending me ducks in the mail with books, and then people caught on to that, and so they started sending me books off my wish list with themed ducks to it. And that's when my TikTok really blew up, is because I would get this book mail with just random rubber ducks in it, and I would get very angry and yell at the camera, and that really appealed to people. Don't give me ducks. I will have a panic attack. I'm scared of book mail now, because every time I get mail, I'm like, is there going to be a duck in here? I have to record it in case there is, but yeah.
You know, there are like rubber duck swag, like
I
everywhere.
haven't seen a duck yet, and I'm hoping I can get through the con without encountering any ducks.
Good luck. Anybody else?
if we're just going to skip around, whoever has an answer fastest.
Yeah.
So the best key, in my opinion, for building community is to just be genuine in your relationships and your interactions with other people. Like, obviously, there's always going to be a certain amount of remove between your online persona and your real self. But the more you can be yourself when you're interacting with others, the more organically those relationships will grow and foster, and you'll be able to build a real sense of community and real relationships with others out of these online quasi parasocial relationships.
I definitely agree with that. I think, there's engagement is important on any kind of social media. But you're going to get real engagement the second you go beyond just responding with an emoji or, love this or whatever. The second that you can start to actually pull back the curtain a little bit and start to see the people who are there behind your followers, the people who are there, on your For You page, who you can actually talk to and ask questions to and start a conversation. That's where you start to turn social media into something that is not only useful but more fun. I think it's a lot more genuine, and you meet cool people, like the people sitting at this table with me. It's great. And yeah, I think that sense of just being really genuine is so important, and it's something that we don't often think about, because a lot of us join social media with an intention, particularly if we're authors, particularly if we're there to promote a book, or if we have a purpose for being there. So kind of taking a step back from that and being able to see the people that are around you and see who you're talking to and talk to them, I think is where I have found success.
I think, ironically, the litmus test for when these parasocial relationships become actual relationships is when they move off of the app. Like, once you're in a Discord chat, you're stuck.
One thing I would say to add on to that is, in addition to making the videos, and I agree with 100% of what they said, making videos directed to the people who are responding and talking about the things they're interested in, it's also important to try to comment on things and to respond to the comments you get, and to make it clear that you're not just talking into the void, that you're actually having a conversation with your audience, and that you value them, that you value their interests, and that you are there for them to answer their questions, to really be a part of the community, instead of my impression always of Twitter when I was there, and vaguely was there, was that I would post something, I would feel like I was just sort of shouting into the void, that there was nobody really out there, and it wasn't that great of a community. And especially now, it's whatever it is. But TikTok is a very different thing. There is absolutely a community overall for BookTok, and then communities form around different authors, around different content creators, and you can kind of build the vibe that you want for your community. I've built mine and tried to do it around helpfulness, kindness, empathy, those sorts of values, and have found that really rewarding to have that given back to me as well. So being able to define what the values are that you want to put out there, and then to interact with the people who respond to that, I think is really important.
I agree. I mean, I feel like for the video part of that question, I don't think that there are any specific videos I've had that it's just, this is the one, or that, these specific types. I think it's just about, controlling what you can control, and being exactly what he was, what everyone has really said here, being genuine, and, reaching out with the kind of values that you, would give to your family, to your mom, whoever, to all the people that you do actually interact with on the app.
Talk about what you're passionate about, not necessarily what's popular. What you're passionate about is what's going to draw people to you and create interest and conversation around you.
Yep. Duck mail.
And I think if you don't know what you're passionate about, if you're not sure what you could be talking about, one kind of rule of thumb that I like to use is what do I need? Or what did I need 5 years ago as a baby writer? Or what did I need last month when I had no idea what the heck I wanted to read? Make that kind of content for other people, because I guarantee you are not the only person who needed that.
100%.
I see a lot of you with notebooks too. I do that. I have a notebook with a list of ideas that it's like, these are the videos that I want to try to tackle this week, or however I want to do it. But having that type of mentality is also helpful, even if you're a mood poster, because I'm 100% a mood poster, but I also have specific ones that it's just okay, for
okay, so trying to please the algorithm is very much like trying to please an eldritch god. There's no real rhyme or reason to it. You can't predict what will and will not take off. But one thing it does reward is consistency. So mood posting is good if that's what works for you, but the more you can bake in a rhythm with your posts, the better it'll do. Yep.
The other thing that reliably will bring views, but I try to lean away from that, is addressing whatever the daily BookTok drama topic is. There's always something that people are upset about. And my take on most of it is I occasionally will make videos kind of trying to get people to settle down a little bit
Right.
and trying to do that. But anytime anything's mentioned about that, it will inflate the views, but it's kind of an artificial inflation because it's not the people that really will start following you and supporting you and that you really
Yeah.
want to support. It's just sort of the topic of the day. And so you might see those kinds of videos blowing up, but that's not what you probably want to lean into for your overall channel theme.
Okay, actually, that kind of leans a little bit to the next question. So, are there any things you would caution people who are new to Book Talk about the Book Talk space? Anything you feel like they should be wary of or maybe avoid?
I got two. Don't do follow trains. It's not going
Oh,
to create
yeah.
genuine engagement. It's going to actually slow you down. And I had a second one, and it is escaped my brain.
The same thing. Bots also are really
Right.
bad. A lot of people think they can inflate their account by buying packages of bots to follow them. It'll be artificial followers. Just raise the follower number. TikTok is good at figuring out that they're bots. They'll ban those accounts pretty quickly, and it will dilute your spread. What happens? My understanding is when you make a video and put it out there, TikTok will show it to a percentage of your followers, and if they engage with it, it'll show it to a larger percentage of your followers, and it keeps growing from there until it goes onto the For You page, and it goes to more and more people. And as long as people are engaging with it, it continues to grow. And if you have artificial followers, if you have bots, that's who it'll start showing it to, and it will cause your video not to grow. So I would encourage everybody to try to get organic followings and not to artificially inject these bots to follow you, because that'll just really almost ruin your account.
I remember the second one. The second one is don't pay TikTok to promote your stuff, because it's
No.
not targeted advertising. They will really push you to promote your videos, but it just sends it out to random people who may like or favorite your video, but they're not going to actually engage with your content, and they're most likely not going to be the audience you're actually looking for. And once you pay, they promote you and they suppress your videos to try and make sure you pay again. So unless you just have a steady income that you can throw at promoting it, you're better off just trying to make quality videos with that income than you are to push that money into TikTok.
Do you want one?
I'm good.
Okay, I have three. All right, the first two are about interaction. First off, and this doesn't just apply to TikTok, this applies to everything. Remember, there is, except for in the case of those robots Jason was talking about, a person on the other side of the profile. So before you comment, be kind. Secondly, learn to read the room. As authors, we are all desperate to self-promote ourselves, but not every post requires you to say, hey, buy my book on it.
Right.
And thirdly, know what you are on TikTok for. That sounds nebulous, but like knowing if I am here to build connections versus I am here to sell my books versus I am here to engage with the community and talk about individual books that I enjoy. These things can all overlap. You can have multiple reasons for being on there, but having a dedicated objective wherever you're posting or whatever you're commenting will help you sort of narrow down your feed and also these sorts of relationships that you're building.
I agree with that entirely. I always encourage people to treat themselves like the main character. And by that, I mean specifically, if you're a writer, you'll know that goal, motivation, and conflict are a thing. Give yourself a goal, understand your own motivation, understand what's getting in your way when it comes to social media, and use those answers, really sit down with yourself, journal about it, think about it, use those answers to determine why you're there and help that, guide what you're doing. To that, I would also add, I think particularly on TikTok, it's really easy when you're getting started to use trending sounds and to do, a lot of like the little, like the, what are they, like the filters with like the, yeah. And, it's really easy to do those, and those are super fun. But if that's all you do, then you're not going to get past that kind of like that. You're not going to get to that
Surface
genuine
level
moment.
engagement.
Yeah. It was actually Marshall's wife who yelled at me like about a year and a half ago and was like, Emily, if you want more engagement, you really need to start doing more face content and less trending audio. And it was honestly just some of the best advice, because the second I stopped being afraid and I started leaning in and trusting that I had something to say, that was really when I started to connect. And that was really when I started to meet some amazing people and started to see some results.
Come on, Emily, be publicly vulnerable.
Actually,
It's really hard, but like, it's worth it, guys.
Actually, that's perfect. 'Cause one of my other questions that are in this group is a lot of people are shy on screen. How did you get used to doing face content? Because I've seen all your beautiful faces on TikTok.
Before doing TikTok, I had not done any video content at all, but I've been doing voiceover work for probably like 12 or 13 years now. So I was used to speaking, but not used to being on camera with it. And so being on camera was hugely nerve-wracking for the first probably 2 weeks I was doing it, but I was making like 4 videos a day then, just trying to get in the deep end and do it. And I got used to it after a little while, and that's just what it took, was doing enough of it and getting used to it. And then I became comfortable with it. Now it's just like second nature. I sit down and I'm on camera and I say what I have to say. That said, I would say it's good if we're saying, if you want to build community, if you want to have connections with people, it's great to get your face on there. You don't have to do that though. What the algorithm does, I've found, is depending on what kinds of videos you usually make, the algorithm kind of learns that that's your content, and that's what it tends to push the most. If you have videos where you just have your hand showing a book and you turn the book and you're speaking or something, and you do that all the time, the algorithm will recognize, okay, that's what this person makes. And then if they suddenly make a face video, that video sometimes will get suppressed because that's not their usual kind of content. But you can make inroads even if you don't show your face. But I believe, for the sake of community, that showing your face and letting people see you is a good thing.
Yes.
I am just like socially awkward. So I still struggle with it. A couple years later, I still, start a video and I'm like, hey, hi, I'm doing my thing. And then I stop it and I go, crap, that was 10 seconds. And then I got to redo it. I still do that. Like it doesn't get easier for everyone. It gets easier, but it doesn't go away for everybody. So I don't want you to feel like, if you're one of those people, like how I am with it, that it's a bad thing. You could still make great videos and go from there.
Yeah,
So-
there are definitely some accounts that, especially author accounts, that never show their face, and they will just do quotes with interesting backgrounds, or again, kind of doing the whole spine and then, or the front and then the flip, so you can kind of see the cover. And again, if that's what you want to do, feel free to do it. Just be aware that people like to know who the author is too, and so they're curious. And so I do think that there is a interest and pool that you can get when you do show your face, if you're comfortable enough.
Yeah. So similar to, I'm going to jump off Jason's earlier comment about being on Twitter and shouting into the void. Humans are by nature pack bonding animals. Like, we are out here to form relationships with each other. And something about the video format of seeing, no, this is a small person in front of me, really speaking directly to me, tricks the animal part of our brain into forming that empathetic connection faster. So video content, by its very nature, does lead more strongly to these parasocial relationships that we are attempting to form via the app. That is not to say that we are ever going to be completely comfortable with filming ourselves. I did theater in college, and I learned really early on that I was way more comfortable behind the scenes than on them. And I also have autism, so I get distracted looking at people's faces. So what I do is I record myself with a back camera for as many takes as that will take, rather than getting distracted with a mirror of my own face. But the more you can utilize that face-to-face, big air quotes there, connection of the video format, the more comfortable your viewers will get with you, and the more they will want to cheer you on in your journey.
Yeah, I mean, all of that. I would also add, that, never mind, I completely lost my train of thought. Continue, someone else go.
Okay, well, the next question probably is a little quicker and easier. So what do you think, in your opinion, makes BookTok such a unique and special place, and how does it differ than other social media platforms?
Well, it's video based for one thing. A lot of the other platforms are if you look at Threads now, which I consider to be the replacement for Twitter. I love Threads. It's a micro-blogging text-based platform like Twitter was. And Instagram has gone towards Reels now, so it's more video, but it started out more still image-based, and I never know what still images to post on there, so I'm awful at Instagram. But I found that the video format is what I sort of gravitate towards when I'm talking about writing, when I'm talking about publishing, and I can hold up things, I can use my hands to talk, I can form that connection with the camera, with the viewer. And so I think just the format of TikTok, depending on what your interest and what your strengths are, can really be a benefit to you if you're good at and interested in that video format. And I feel like it also has a lot of tools with it that makes it easy to engage with your audience, with your viewers, with your friends, and to form those connections. So that's how I feel like TikTok is unique.
It feels it's more conversational in a lot of ways, because not only can you make videos, and tone is so important, because on Threads, which is great, but when you have written text, the tone is always whatever the reader is perceiving the tone to be. But you can create inflection, and you can establish your tone in a video format, and you can reply to comments with videos and stuff. So it's a much more conversational. I think too, TikTok does a much better job of actually promoting your content than other apps do. Whereas other apps, you have to really gain a follower base. If you get on TikTok early on, your first couple of videos are going to really push out to people. So make your first couple of videos really high quality stuff, really engaging stuff, because they're going to be automatically getting more engagement.
Yeah, don't make a I guess what I did was a recording of Paul Rudd in the like Slim Jim scene from, I can't even remember the name of the movie, but he's like, bye to the James. I did like a little recording of that and it got like 100,000 views. Right? And that was before I even really knew about BookTok. And I was like, what is happening? I don't really know. My phone's going on. I had to turn off notifications. It was weird.
Brace yourself. The least effort you put into the post is always going to be the most popular post.
God, you'll spend like an
Every
hour
time.
on a video and like editing and
Yep.
putting all this time into it. And TikTok's like, we're going to give you like maybe 120 views.
And
Full-
I'm
like, full stop.
119 of those.
Yeah. Oh my God.
That was still the funniest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah,
Definitely.
if you think that you're going to have if you finished a video and you go, yeah, this is going to be the one, it's 100% not the one. Guarantee you.
But the one you
post it,
record
but
in 5 seconds that like you hit post on before you think twice, that one's going to go viral. So
So harkening back to the original question, what makes TikTok different? The algorithm, which I feel like is what we've all just danced around with our answers. TikTok's algorithm is witchcraft. Like there's something about it that really is completely clued into like what the viewer likes, because they have all the metrics of like how long you watch a video before you skip past it. At what point did you skip past it? Did it come to you because it was pushed to you, because it was sponsored? Did you find it through a friend's post? Like all of this data, the app is actively mining to push to you the things that are going to keep you most engaged and most on the app, and also most addicted to the app, which is why I try and limit my time on there. But the plus of that is that it will feed you exactly the sort of content you're looking for. And as book people, that is really helpful to us to get our stuff out there, because these are going to be for some of you out there, and the algorithm is actively pushing it towards its intended viewers.
And I'll just add on to the fact that it is, as an app, has so many wide ways you can approach it. A lot of us have been talking about the videos, but there's still aspects, and recently the algorithm has been liking a lot of still shots, kind of harkening back to Instagram or slideshows. And there are features of live streaming for people who do love to get on and live stream. I stream a lot. And there's the whole shop function too that people can sell directly from, which I know some of us sell through the TikTok shop as well. So there's a lot of aspects of this platform that differs from some of the other social media. And it's definitely something I would recommend for people to check out.
Yeah.
Now, going into the writer and author side of things, in general, panelists, do you have any recommendations on what sort of videos a newcomer should start posting if they are an author or writer? And part 2 of that is, do you have any recommendations on how then they can kind of work to focus BookTok to their own particular kind of author brand, and how they can kind of start working on that? Creating that. Sorry. Go.
I want to hear the answers to this. I can learn from this.
Do you want to start?
So I think that as a writer and an author, again, you want to be thinking about, what do I want out of my TikTok experience, and try and offer that, try and give that to other people. If you don't feel like you have anything to offer, think about talking about your journey. Talk about what you're dealing with as a writer and an author. Talk about where you are in the process, what kind of trouble you're running into, and try and engage with the people around you. If you're saying, man, I have writer's block, I am just so stuck, I feel like life keeps getting in the way, you could complain about that in a video, absolutely. Or you could turn it around and say, hey, other writers, I have writer's block. What do you do when you just feel like you cannot concentrate? Start a conversation and then really engage with those people in that conversation. I find that that's a really great place to start, because you're talking about yourself. You're talking about what you know, which is your process, and you're showing other people that they're not alone. You're connecting with other people who are experiencing the same thing as you. And hopefully that conversation moves on and evolves into something else.
Yeah. The rule I live by is that all content you post, and this is specifically as a writer / author, should be one of 3 things. It should be either entertaining, educational, or inspirational. Break those down real quick. Entertaining is the things that make people laugh, that keep them engaged. It's using trending sounds. It's the thing I'm worst at, frankly. But it's whatever is, fun and funny, and like, makes people go like, oh, I like you. I like your content. I'm going to stick around for that. that's entertaining. Educational is much more my wheelhouse because I have opinions about writing and about the craft of writing and how to teach people how to do that. That's something I feel the most comfortable posting about, and fostering that sort of community of people who are learning and people who are also educating each other about the craft of writing is one of the really great ways to build yourself a brand. Like, you have excellent writing tip videos, like that's one of your bread and butters, because you have so much experience as a coach and editor. And that can be like literally any aspect of the craft, like dialogue, narrative, world building, whatever. There are so many subjects you can tackle out there. And then the last one is inspirational. This is where it is hard because you do have to be a little vulnerable publicly and expose the more tender emotional parts of yourself to the wider TikTok world. But this is where you can let people follow along in your journey and they get invested in you. So every step of your process, keep people updated on that. It doesn't matter if it's just like, oh, I just outlined this thing. Post about that so people know where you're at. Say you're in the querying trenches and you're really nervous about it. Like, keep people updated. You don't have to give specifics, but like, oh, I got this rejection, I'm feeling really bummed about it. Or, hey, someone wants to look at my full. People want to follow along with you. They want to cheer you on and to be a part of your journey. That's the whole point of the parasocial aspect of TikTok. And so that when you have success, they feel like they are part of that success. And that's where the inspirational aspect comes from. So inspirational, educational, entertaining. Keep your content to one of those three.
I feel like it's almost rude to follow that up. Sorry. It's brilliant, man. That was awesome.
So
Yeah,
inspirational.
everything Marshall.
3
just said.
rounds for
That
Marshall
is-
right there.
Yeah, that's my answer.
Find a way to connect to your audience. If you're
Mm,
creating a world, find a way to connect that world to your audience. One of the first video series I did was I asked people, hey, do you want to know your odds of surviving in the world of my book? What are the odds of surviving a magical apocalypse? Give me 3 facts about yourself down below, and I'll make a video responding to you and giving you the odds of your surviving in this situation. And that gave me free content to make more videos following up on it. When people saw those videos, like, ooh, what would my odds of surviving be? So find a way to connect your work to your audience in a way that's going to make them interested and engaged.
That's really good.
Okay, so do you have anything else?
They covered it all.
I love it. So here's one of the Debbie Downer ones. Trolls exist beyond the realm of fantasy. And so have any of you dealt with a troll? And if so, how do you recommend for someone else when they come up with that? Because it can happen.
Block them immediately. You
Yeah.
don't, it's your little community that you have there. You're trying to foster safety in the community. And if somebody comes in and tries to mess stuff up, you don't need to argue with them. You don't need to try to convince them to act right. You just block them and you're done with them. They might come back with another account, but just keep doing it. In lives, I don't know if you've dealt with trolls in lives. I get a lot of strange sexual harassment on lives, and I just block those immediately as well.
Mhm.
People come in talking about my head, and I'm like, what? And just block them immediately. Don't give them a second thought, and then they no longer exist within the sphere of your community, and they can't do harm at that point.
I mean, I would echo that. I would say if you want to engage with what they've said, and if you can do it in a funny way, just like remove them from the comment. Screenshot their comment, block out their name, block them so that they don't get any satisfaction, because don't feed the trolls is the rule of the internet. If you feed them, they're going to keep going. You can't win against a troll. It's not like fantasy. Your magic sword's not going to make a difference. Just don't engage them. Remove them from your world.
I view it the same way, and I view like writing and reviews the same way. So
Yeah.
I kind of like do the same with that. If it's something negative, I just ignore, or if I can delete comment, I do, but I disengage. Like, there's nothing positive will really come from that, and you'll probably end up frustrated if you.
I fully agree. Be liberal with the block button, but also be slightly gracious and try and give people the benefit of the doubt the first time. I'm going to share a very brief anecdote. There was a live I did, because the live thing brought it back to mind. There was a live I did a while ago where I was assembling, there's a new Lego tiger model. And for some reason, this tiger has a little pink flower nugget right under its tail. It's a butthole. So it is colloquially known online as the Lego butthole tiger. And there was somebody in the comments of this live who was like getting more and more furious at me because I had ignored their question. And finally we figured out it's because whatever their question was had the word butthole in it. And so I'm like, I'm not ignoring you. What did you say? And then they like repeated using different verbiage. I'm like, oh, you got censored. That's what it was.
Yeah.
So sometimes people are not genuinely trying to be trolls. There is just a miscommunication because the internet is an imperfect medium. But yeah, be liberal with the block button otherwise.
And I would agree with that. A friend of mine always refers to trolls as two different types of people. There are pests, which are people who are just kind of like annoying you, but they're not malicious. They're not
Mhm.
trying to be obnoxious. They're maybe asking a question because they really want to be heard, or they're really trying to make their point known, you know, and that can be a nuisance, but it's not malicious.
Mhm.
And I think the real difference there is practicing some empathy when those people come into your comment section. I absolutely agree. Do not feed the trolls. Like, learn to tell the difference between the
Yeah.
two. But yeah, I try to approach the situation assuming ignorance rather than malice from people.
Mhm.
And overall, just remembering that I do not owe anyone anything.
Yeah.
That I think is really important, and it can be really hard to ignore a comment, especially if they are persistent. But hit block, hit delete, and protect yourself,
And then
please.
send it to your group chat so you can all
Yes, take
pile on.
screenshots and
Yeah.
complain about it with your friends behind the scenes.
We've never done that.
Just keep in mind what you spend your energy and your time on, because there's nothing easier to spend energy on than something that makes you mad. And if they're doing something to make you mad, they're probably not going to engage with your book and your content. So why bother with them?
Yeah.
Okay, so on another kind of harder topic is, how do you deal with burnout? Because when it comes to BookTok or any social media, a lot of authors and writers, and even probably on the reading side too, can feel the burnout because you feel the obligation of needing to post constantly. So have you dealt with burnout, and how do you recommend others?
Yes.
Wow.
Am I not dealing with burnout?
I think social media is, especially when you go into it with that purpose, you go into it with the understanding, I'm here to, you know, complete XYZ purpose here, sell a book, you know, promote myself, whatever. It because the algorithm rewards that consistency, you feel that pressure to post every single day. You feel that pressure to post something new and unique and valuable every single day. And that can get very quickly exhausting. Some things that I have done to protect myself, I batch content.
Yep.
So I make multiple videos in one day. Sometimes I'll change shirts, although honestly, like, as time has gone on, I'm really just kind of like, if you guys notice I'm wearing the same outfit, I don't care. You know, I will do that.
Wow, Emily wore that shirt for 4 days.
Yeah. I'm a cartoon character, actually. This is the only, I have like 8 of these shirts in my closet.
It's called brand recognition.
Yes, it is. That's a different panel. But no, so batching content, limiting my time. I very much will set aside specific time where I go onto TikTok to interact with comments and to engage with my followers and to post something and to, you know, get that little batch of scrolling like before I hit post. So the algorithm is like, sure, we'll push your content.
Yeah.
But little things like that, like systems, really work for me. And then the other biggest thing is, if you feel like you are getting burned out, please take a break.
Yeah.
Please. You know, like your mental health is so much more important than the number of followers on your social media account.
Yeah.
So always prioritize that.
And jumping right off of that, like I said earlier, you should be having a specific goal in mind when you are engaging with the app and posting on the app. Check in with yourself every few months. Like it'll vary from person to person, every quarterly, weekly, I don't know, like whatever is best for you. But like, is what I am posting and the way that I'm interacting on this app really serving whatever that goal is? Because those goals may change and vary. Like when I was first getting on, I was just trying to get more followers so I could get more news about my book out there. My goal has since shifted. Like there was a while last year where I just launched TikTok shop with my books, like selling signed copies, and it was relentless nonstop promotion of the book. And nowadays I'm a little more just into like the community building, interacting with people. So just feel free to pivot if you feel like what you are doing is not serving whatever your goal is, or if your goal starts to change.
You can repeat ideas too, because
Yeah.
a lot of times the people seeing your video aren't your followers, and they're people who haven't seen your videos before. TikTok
Yes.
pushes a lot of your videos out to people who haven't seen your content before. So you can repeat content and do stuff you've done before, or take a video you've done before, edit it slightly, and then repost it potentially, as long as there's distance between it. You don't want to immediately repost the same video, but save these formats and stuff. Have some B-roll footage for the days where you're not feeling great. Have some quotes or something for simple stuff that you can have as a backup queued up to use later.
If you have a pet, that content is evergreen. Film your cat for 30 seconds, you're good for the day.
If you look up online suggestions of how to grow your audience, what kind of schedule to post on, people will say to post like 4 or 5 videos a day, just nonstop. Keep doing that. I did that for about a year and a half. I built a great community. I have a good following around. And then I hit burnout and I just couldn't do that anymore. It was delaying my actual writing and all that. At this point, I may be posting once a day, and I have not really seen a slowdown in my new followers coming on. I feel like it hit a rhythm and hit some momentum there. And so I haven't had to keep up with that wild schedule for a day. So I don't really know how accurate that is if you really need to maintain that for as long as I have, as long as we did. Or if you can kind of hit your stride and then kind of back off a little bit and let the momentum carry you forward. Because right now, I really am posting like maybe once a day. Some days I'll skip days, and I still am getting a bunch of followers each day that will find my old content and will come in. And on TikTok, a lot of times, this is a good thing to know, is it'll push your old content a lot of times more than it'll push your newest stuff. I'll get comments sometimes on videos that are like 6 months or a year old, and I'll get a bunch of followers coming in that have just hit that video for some reason. So if you're feeling really pressured to put out all those videos each day, you might not really need to. You might be able to take a step back and regroup yourself, get a breather, and then come back and start making content again without really losing your stride.
I think once you get kind of used to it too, like I have two different like TikTok brains. I have one that's very much like who I am, which is like the mood post guy, and I love doing that. But I also, Emily was talking about batch creating. I heavily lean on batch creating because I watch a lot of podcasts, that kind of thing, and I have different types of videos that I feel comfortable making that I can use sounds for and that kind of thing. And I don't necessarily have to talk. You'll see my face, but I can make like 10 of those and just be set for the week. And when I don't feel like mood writing, you have a little video you can put out. So that's kind of what that experience looks like for, I think, some of us, for me at least.
Okay, so the time is running out shortly. So we're going to try to hit a few more of these and try to keep them as quicker as possible. But I will say one thing about the last comment. Yes, repost. I love it. There is actually a trick. If you film a video, even before you put on text, there's a down arrow. You can download it, re-upload it, and then you can put a variety of different text, variety of different sounds on that same thing you filmed once and repost those. If you want to do a back-to-back, if you want to spread them out, I've heard authors use them both ways, and I do that. Okay, so moving to the reading and writing section, for someone who's a reader and wants to get into the reading community, and knowing that when you jump on TikTok first, you're going to get a bunch of random videos because the algorithm's trying to figure it out, and then usually in the book community, you're going to get a hit with a wave of romance, and if that's not their cup of tea, how can a reader find their niche? How do you recommend for readers finding their particular niche of genre that they want to follow?
It's really about training the algorithm as quickly as you can. If you if you scroll through and see videos that aren't what you want to see, you can hit, I forget if it's called ignore or something like that, not interested, and it won't take that into account, or it'll take it into account negatively for your algorithm, so it won't show you as many of those types of videos. You scroll and you hit a video, let's say you want to see sci-fi books in particular. If you see somebody talking about sci-fi books, you can like that. If you watch it for longer, let it loop a couple of times, you leave a comment on it, favorite it, the algorithm will say, oh, this person maybe likes sci-fi, and then when you start doing more and more of them, it'll start showing you more and more of that. You engage more with it, and it's kind of just about training the algorithm to show you what you want to see by telling it, hey, I don't want to see this other stuff, but I do want to see this specific stuff. And it'll eventually get to the point that it's kind of uncanny. I think it was Marshall was talking earlier about how good the algorithm is at really keying in at what you actually want to see. And I didn't know that at first, so a lot of my followers and most devoted viewers are spicy romance authors, so it's kind of fun, but that's not what I write or read. But I have a lot of friends who do now.
This is actually going to be flipping around because this goes back to like advice for when you're posting. Use tags, as many tags that apply without being like spammy about it to the subject at hand, because tags are invaluable for finding videos on those specific topics or subjects. So when you're looking for content that is in your wheelhouse, using those tags and finding videos that are tagged with those interests are going to be your best friend.
And I know like creative insight search is something that's kind of newer. That's valuable. I've just started to kind of use it more myself, but that's a good way to not only find what people are expecting of your content, but also to find and search for, if you're wanting to get into horror or fantasy or something like that.
So talking about hashtags, actually, what are 1 to 2 that you would recommend maybe for a reader and or an author to use that you found pretty valuable? Or is there any that you think is a good thing to suggest?
I think like hashtag BookTok and hashtag WriterTalk are the big ones.
Always.
I would argue though that, if those are so inundated. There are billions of posts under those hashtags.
Specificity is your friend.
Yeah. So try to find something that really speaks to what you're posting, or try to find something that really speaks to what you want to see on your For You page. The algorithm is so smart. Like, I'm mad about how smart it is, but like, you can search something completely random, like I was searching the other day for like Renaissance Festival costume ideas, like, and it comes up with it will find what you are looking for based on what people are saying, if they're using captions, based on if there's screen on text. So even if it's not in the hashtag, like, if there is a way for them to find it, or if it comes up a lot in the comments, like, it will be there. But yeah, so be specific, but not too specific. It's total non-answer. I'm sorry. But
The algorithm is so smart that if you're creating a book kind of space, I would recommend having 2 accounts, because if you like to scroll and look at other stuff like memes or Star Wars or whatever other interest you have a different account that you swap to look at that stuff, so it doesn't pull you away from the space that you want to really engage with, because it rewards that engagement.
Where were you at when I posted that Paul Rudd video?
I don't think I was on TikTok yet.
I would also say, and this would be a little bit more from like the writer standpoint, but I also would create a hashtag your author name or a hashtag your book series and add that to your post when you do show your book.
I mean, just even beyond yourself, like anytime you're posting about something specific, like hashtag the author, hashtag the title, hashtag the genre or subgenre, like those are all ways to direct viewers to that video.
And I'm trying to keep conscientious of the time, but for the reader side of things, just to be aware of, when you are a person who may be moving away from the point of just watching other people's videos and maybe wanting to actually engage in the next level, there are a bunch of interactive book clubs that live stream on there. There are, you could be making posts on your book hauls, your latest reviews, what you're currently reading, et cetera, so on. So there's a lot you can do as a reader, and to engage and build your own community and friendships, and that way, more so than just watching other people post. Now, a couple questions because we're running out of time. Quick thoughts on the TikTok ban. Anybody have any strong feels about should they worry?
I think there's so much money tied up in TikTok that it disincentivizes for anything to just totally obliterate the app in the United States. I think that things could change. I mean, technically it's supposed to be banned at whatever date, but something's going to happen that's going to keep it around. It may be that I don't know. I'm not in politics, thank goodness, but something will change that will keep it around, because too many people that are in power have too much money tied up in it and are benefiting from it. So I don't think it's going away like lots of people want us to think it is.
It's just, at most, it's just going to transfer ownership.
Okay.
And if you're writing fantasy, like most of us are, I don't think it's going to be an issue for most of you.
Okay, final question. I'm going to do a flash round, and then we're going to open it up for a Q&A, because I know time is essential. Anywho, final question, everybody. Outside of those seated on this panel, can you name one other book talker that you would recommend for people to follow?
Oh man, just
I
one.
can.
Or 2, but keep it succinct. There are so many, I know.
Can I do 2? SM Campbell writes ocean punk fantasy, and he dresses like a pirate for all his videos, and he's hilarious. He and I did a Gollum voice acting exchange at one point. That's how we got to know each other. And then SJ Styles wrote the Song of Thesia, which is like a Game of Thrones but Greco-Roman style fantasy. That is one of the only romanticities I've actually absolutely loved.
Anybody else?
I mean, I could think of a ton of like horror ones, I
Hey,
guess. 'Cause
hey,
that's where I've been
hey,
living
hey.
this year. I mean, I would say like Christopher Triana's been pretty awesome. I've learned a lot of things just from his account, and yeah, I'll leave it at that. I could go on for days.
I would say from the writing standpoint, Gina Denny is incredible. She gives amazing advice on craft, on querying, on if you have a query letter, she will, if you are comfortable with it being shared, she will read it on her account and like help you learn from it. She has amazing advice.
Nicole McKean is one of our really good friends and also one of the best authors I have encountered on TikTok. Her main series, the Gwen St. James Affair, is basically Dresden Files meets like Bridgerton. It's like in Victorian England.
So good.
It's awesome. And she is like just genuinely a gem of a human being and like has really excellent writer content. So that's Nicole McKean. She's also under Nicole York. So either one of those, look her up.
Yeah, Nicole's great. I was, maybe I mentioned her, but also another person who makes content similar to what I do, giving advice about sort of the technical side of publishing and of writing, things like that, is Rebecca Thorne. She writes a lot of cozy fantasy. I've become friends with her because we make kind of the same sort of content a lot of times. She digs a lot into contract stuff, into the legal side of things that I don't necessarily cover myself, but she's really good at sort of the ins and outs of that kind of thing. I'm drawing blank. I'm friends with so many people on there. I don't know who to say.
I would say Otto Schaefer author is his handle,
Otto's
and
awesome.
he's figured out how to take his genre, his latest genre, which is zombie horror, and do brilliant stuff through selling and marketing his book. And another one who's great at marketing his own niche, as well as testing out new things all the time, is AP Beswick, and he is dark retellings of folklore from England, but amazing stuff as well.
I
Now,
think that Rebecca Thorne's audiobook narrator is somewhere in the audience.
Oh,
fantastic. So flash round, and we're opening up to questions. So flash round panelists, raise your hands if this applies to you. Do you use BookTok to reach new readers? Okay. Do you use BookTok to sell books either directly or through the BookTok shop? I'm sorry, I need to be raising stuff. Do you use BookTok to network with other authors and writers? Do you use BookTok to learn writing, publishing, or marketing tips? Do you use BookTok to buy books? Do you use the live stream function for any reason? Has your TBR list grown as an effect of joining the community?
I don't acknowledge
Stop
that.
having good taste, everyone.
Do you wish BookTok came with its own complimentary bookshelves?
are we doing just a Robux up here?
And
Can I
would you
get bigger wall?
recommend BookTok to others? Okay, so I think that's enough time. I don't know how many minutes we have left, but we'll open the mic for questions for anybody who wants to. There is a live mic right there. You just step it
Come
up,
on down
5
in the middle.
minutes. So we can get a
Come on
couple. I'm sorry, I
down.
ran long.
Hello.
Hello.
My question is, I've seen a lot of like contradictory videos. I've seen videos of people saying specifically tropes that they're tired of seeing, and they're like listing these things that are really popular. And then at the same time, I'm seeing a lot of upcoming authors who are specifically writing with these tropes in mind. So what are your feelings on that juxtaposition of trying to get into the writer space?
Two things. First of all, taste is subjective. So what works for one person will not work for another, and vice versa. And also, tropes are the ingredients to a novel. They're not a novel itself. You can't call a pile of flour and sugar and chocolate chips chocolate chip cookie. You've got to actually put the work into making it into a chocolate chip cookie. The same applies for books. Tropes are tools. They are not the sum of a narrative. And it all lies in the execution.
I would say don't lean on tropes if you want your book to have lasting power. They're good for advertising, but as far as maintaining the story, if you're writing with the purpose of tropes, that's going to overwhelm your writing.
I have a question for everyone. What's your favorite TikTok that you follow that's not book related?
The guy who tames squirrels. I don't remember his name, but he has a squirrel named Richard. He's so much fun. I love him. He has the houses for them.
Just gonna go down. There's this band of like 3 guys who do song covers, and like one of them just does the piano. One of them knows the words to the song, and the other one doesn't, and it's amazing. I don't know their name.
Sorry.
Oh, sorry.
I was going to say, as a fan of all things mythology, there is Epic the Musical for people who like musicals, and I'm obsessed. So
I want to say this is still in the book community kind of, but there's this person who makes costumes from the books that she reads. Her name's Paige Turner Tina, and I really like her account.
There's a blacksmith I really like that brings fantasy
Yes,
and video
nice.
game swords to real life and does a really good job with it. I don't know his handle off the top of my head.
Anything with like crafting like that, like blacksmith.
it jumped up and attacked her.
It was the ghost. It's fine.
That's what you call a live mic.
Drew, could you say that one more time? Do they hear us?
Yeah. Well, like blacksmithing is also like any crafting like that is
Yeah.
excellent. But I also I kind of have like a weird thing I didn't know I had with like food TikTok videos. And the thing I've been into lately, because they just have been cramming it down my throat, is there's this dude that dresses like the joke, like Heath Ledger Joker, and just eats from different fast food restaurants, talks like him the whole time. And for me, I'm just like, yeah, it was a pretty good video, you know, like that's how. But you know, there's a bunch of different food TikTokers out there. That would be my second account. That would be my BookTok one. A little.
You see that one guy who pretends he's like being held prisoner by that one dude? who makes
Yes,
food?
yes.
No, I have not.
Yeah. No, he got blocked.
That was a
That's what I
fun
said.
question, but I have a serious one.
Yes.
Is your BookTok monetized besides just selling books through it?
Yes.
But
Yes.
is it paying you money?
Well, it's monetized, but it's debatable about whether you'd say it's paying money. The way that mine is monetized is if I make a video that's over 1 minute long and it gets over 1,000 views, as long as it doesn't have anything that they consider objectionable in it, that TikTok considers it, then I start getting paid per view essentially, but it's a very small amount of money. So most of the money
Yeah.
that I get from TikTok is either from when I do lives, people can make can give essentially tips. Then I'll get some money from that. But also I sell my books through the TikTok shops, sell signed copies. That's where the vast majority of money that I get from TikTok comes from.
I am also in that boat. This is something called the Creator Fund. You have to hit, I think it's 10,000 followers is like the minimum threshold to
believe
be a
that's
part
right.
of it.
Yeah.
And yeah, like Jason said, it's anything over a minute you get paid, but it's like, you know, fractions of a cent per view or something. So it has to really be something that goes viral to make you any money. So this is not really like a full-time job for any of us, at least not to.
No, I don't even know how I'm on this panel. 2,500 followers help me get to monetizable numbers.
I did have a viral video about a cat cafe that made me a chunk of change that basically paid for our visit to the cafe, which was
There
nice.
you go. Cats, pets.
Like I said, it's evergreen content.
Make an account. Okay, I've got an idea for you, one of you. Make an account about how your pet is writing your book and your free ride.
That's
Just
pretty brilliant, actually.
I don't have a pet, so someone else take that
You
advice.
can borrow mine.
Yeah, I'll borrow your
Free content ideas.
Anybody else? Well, what I will say then is thank you for everybody to come and join. I will be happy. I know we're pretty much out of time to answer anybody else's questions. If anybody needs me, I'll stand outside for a little bit in case you want to come up and ask away. And again, thank you to the digital media track for letting us do this for the 3rd year in a row. So that's fantastic. We appreciate you.
And a round of applause for Catherine for hosting.
Yes. First
Great
time
job.
moderating, she killed it.
And my last thing is, if you're curious about any of us, some of us are going to be on other panels throughout the weekend, and we're selling various spots. You can check in our look at the DragonCon app, check up our names, and see where we will be.
Should we just go down the list and tell everybody where they can find us?
Do we have time?
We
for
have
that?
2 minutes.
Okay,
We have handles on the thing.
go.
Oh, I'm Emily Krempholtz. You can find me at emilykrempholtz.com or at my TikTok account, Writers of Rohan. I am not on any other panels this weekend, but I do have green hair and I'm easy to spot. So please come say hi.
I'm Marshall J. Moore. You can find me at marshalljmoore.com and on TikTok and Instagram under Marshall J. Moore Author. I will be intermittently at the Shadow Alley Press booth in the 2nd floor of the vendor hall this week, where you can find both these books and my other 3.
Nice. I am Drew Bailey. You can follow me at the Drew Bailey Author there. That is also my Insta tag as well as TikTok. And I will be kind of around going to different panels, but I'll also be at the gathering tonight and with the fall staff booth. That is my publisher.
Michael Melwassel on all platforms, and I am on no further panels. This is your one and only opportunity. Goodbye.
He ceases to exist as soon as we leave this room.
I don't
So
exist now.
I'm Jason Duro. I'm Jason Duro Author on most socials, and you can find, I actually have my panel schedule on my Instagram and I think Threads as well, so you can find that there. But I'll also be at the Fantasy Gather tonight, signing and selling books and sharing a table with Catherine. So that's where I'll be, and I'm always happy to answer questions. If anybody is on TikTok or wherever, I'll send them my way. I'll make some videos for you.
And as Jason said, I will be at the Gather tonight. 4 hours of book signing fun for people who want to check us out. There's a number of us that will be there. We're taking over the entire floor, it sounds like, of the
Hyatt International Ballroom.
And
Correct.
I have 2 other panels tomorrow. You can find them on the schedule. They should be a lot of fun, especially the last one. I will be cosplaying as one of my book characters. Oh, Lord.
Thank you all for coming.
Thank you all so
you.
much.
All right. Guys, can we get pictures? Like in front of or behind?
who's
Let's all scoot in.
it's called The Gather, and it's on the schedule